Right about now, you are listening to the Legacy and Leadership Podcast, a show where we discuss living as a leader worth following, leading others to do the same, and in doing so, leaving a legacy for future generations. My name is Jimmy Gonzalez Jr., a learning and development professional and leadership coach, sitting down with my co-host, Anthony Devon Watts Jr., an expert contact center leader that has effectively led and developed dynamic teams with high motivation. Together, we have over 30 years experience in the corporate game. Join us as we discuss our growth as leaders, share the lessons we've learned, and interview others to see how their leadership style was shaped as they were mentored by adversity. Welcome back, Legacy Leaders, to the Legacy and Leadership Podcast, presented to you by the Legacy Leadership Learning Group. As always, this is a show where we teach you what it takes to live as a leader worth following, how to lead others to do the same, and in doing so, leaving a legacy for generations to come. I'm Jimmy Gonzalez, and I am joined by my co-host, Devon Watts Jr.
What is going on, leaders?
Yes, sir. If you're new or if you are one of our loyal listeners, please feel free to rate and review this podcast. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, we'd love for you to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and make sure that you share with another leader that you know would be able to benefit from this content. So if you are ready, make sure you get your shovels out, because we have a lot of golden nuggets that we're going to be digging up for you in this podcast episode. So if you hear that little sound right there, know that a golden nugget was just dropped. We have a lot of new listeners that have joined us over the last couple of weeks. And sometimes we still get questions about the chime and the coins dropping. We just want to make sure that you don't forget, that you don't miss any of those golden nuggets. So again, pay attention. There'll be enough dropping in this episode. But we're going to be discussing three main ways that consistent mind mapping will help build, maintain, and elevate your business. Again, in the month of March, that's what we're focusing on. This is March Mind Mapping Madness. Yes, sir. And we've been excited just about going through these concepts. We've talked about it on the last episode. We started off with one of our cold brew sessions, cold brew and convos with the L3G Coaches, and really laying that framework there. And then we're just going to continue on through this month of March. Again, all leading up to the end of March, the beginning of April, where we're going to run our next challenge, which is going to be a 14-day mind mapping challenge. So we thank you for investing time, listening, watching, but get ready so you can invest in yourself a little bit more when we get to that point. And as always, more details to come for you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you guys are staying tuned. We'll continue to drop information. Oops, it's a water bottle. Got to stay hydrated.
Dropping information, dropping water bottles.
But yeah, we'll continue to drop information leading up to it. But man, I'm really excited to get into this topic specifically, right? Because we've over the past couple of episodes and cold brews, we've kind of talked about some of the other benefits that mind mapping can offer when it comes to like problem solving, providing clarity, creative thinking, which are all like critically important, attributes and skill sets that you need to demonstrate as a leader, right? But for this one, we're getting more into some of the tactical components that mind mapping can help solve for, especially for our entrepreneurs. Excuse me. Especially for our entrepreneurs, our business leaders out there, our business runners out there, who need to do things, SWOT analysis, right? And we're going to break that down to business planning, and then also project management. And so I can't wait to really kind of dive into these topics and talk about how you can leverage mind mapping to really unlock potential there. Before we start jumping into that, though, I know you mentioned that we got a lot of new listeners, so I'd be remiss if I didn't just call out, the new additions to the community for the Legacy and Leadership Podcast. Those that are joining us on Podbean, shout out to our partners at Podbean for finding a lot of value in the podcast and what we have to offer. And we recently spotlighted on the Podbean app. we've dropped a couple of episodes, and those are taking off like a rocket. Seems like people are really, really hungry to learn about not just mind mapping, but also how to learn with podcasts and some of our MBA sessions. Excuse me, in some of our MBA sessions. So, man, just, feeling overwhelmed and just thankful. Thankful for the progress we've been able to make, man. February was a tremendous month for us. And March has not slowed down. Which is a blessing. So, so for our repeat listeners, thank you for continuing to come along for the ride and build the foundation that we've been able to build. And for our new listeners, welcome to the club. Welcome to the community. We really are looking forward to connecting with you and offering you up some golden nuggets. Like you said, some golden nuggets to really help you grow and diversify your skill set as a leader and truly become a legacy leader.
Absolutely. Yeah, very, very grateful, very blessed just about, again, like you said, the acknowledgement, the followers that we're getting, the additional listeners, the additional viewers on the YouTube channel as well. So we're going to keep it moving. Again, we're excited about the growth. We're excited about being able to share our thoughts and our experiences and skills that we've worked on over the years, again, that we know and hoping are going to be able to benefit you and the things that you're trying to do. So I'm mad that we weren't recording the conversation that we just had before we started actually recording the podcast. We were talking about entrepreneurship, and we definitely have our corporate gigs and our jobs, our 9-to-5s. We definitely have that entrepreneur spirit, and obviously we have the Legacy Leadership Learning Group, which was designed to help corporate, small businesses as well with learning and development needs that they may have. But just, talking about one of our passions is definitely helping entrepreneurs. And you said something in reference to me, kind of, hey, regardless of what happens, like, you're going to be 60-something years old and still trying to spin something up. Successful entrepreneurs, like, they may also be thought of as idea machines, right? Like, always coming up with some idea and how can I serve other people, but in serving other people, making sure that I'm able to take care of myself and my family as well, and add to the community and add to what's going on. And we know, the entrepreneur of today just has so many hats that they have to wear in order to run a successful business. Again, we were blessed, at the beginning of the year to get some additional support, for the Legacy Leadership Learning Group, with Rico helping out with certain things, with Mary helping out, with Stacy also helping. But even having said that, there's several different components of the podcast and the business that you and I hold down. So it's imperative, right? You think about productivity. How do you remain productive as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, especially if you're still in that situation where you do have a 9-to-5 and you have this side hustle, then maybe you're just doing it to gain, extra income for yourself, or that, man, that's my passion, that's my dream, and I'm working at this because I'm hoping and praying and working to one day that is going to be the main thing that I do in this business that continues to thrive. So how do you, as an entrepreneur, when productivity comes to mind, you really need to be able to take all of these ideas that you have and we talked about golden nuggets, right? And making sure that you have your shovels and your pails ready to dig up the golden nuggets that we have for you. When you're doing that, right, is you're bringing the gold to the top while you're getting rid of that debris. Mind mapping helps with that elimination process that's connected to productivity. So the best ideas, the things that are going to, the action items are going to really get you, the 20% is going to get you 80% of your productivity. Mind mapping can actually help you to do that. So to help you elevate your business, we're going to break down 3 main ways that consistent mind mapping will help you. And I mentioned SWOT analysis, business planning, and project management, just to name a few that we're going to focus on, again, specifically for this episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super excited about that. So SWOT analysis is where we're going to begin. Really, every business should be doing a SWOT analysis. And this includes solopreneurs. And even if you are in a corporate space, this is something I've done for several years myself when I got into a new position at my last employer, kind of that last maybe 12 or 15 months or so, started to do a SWOT analysis there in this new position that I'm in, this new company that I've been working with over the last few months, really, doing observations and doing a SWOT analysis more so from our leadership development and our leadership development programs and kind of where we're at from that perspective. So when we talk about SWOT analysis, there's 4 main areas, right? So for that example, if leadership development is in the middle of that, and that's the thing that I'm focusing on, what are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities? And then what are the threats? So those would be the 4 branches, right, that I'm going to start with. So by doing this SWOT analysis in a mind map, you're actually able to make connections that maybe weren't necessarily as clear before. So again, perhaps a threat to your business, right, and what you're trying to do will be connected to a weakness. Maybe you don't have the proper infrastructure in place when it comes to your technology. So cyber hacks may impact your business, right, as you have some type of deficiency in your website or something like that. Maybe the webmaster might not be the right person for your situation, as you discovered that their knowledge base ain't really up to par, right? So different things that you may come up with as far as threats, but the main point that we want to get across again is, whatever that your business is, right? So for us, as another example, we're going to take Legacy Leadership Learning Group, and then we're going to really start to break down what are the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yeah, what I really like about this this first subject specifically, right? And you talked about the stigma that we have as entrepreneurs as being these idea machines, right? And I say stigma because it can be a double-edged sword, right? One, the fact that we are blessed with the ability to create, to be able to see solutions where other people see problems, to be able to imagine how we can make improvements is definitely a superpower. So I don't want to make it seem like it's a bad thing that we're acknowledged that way. But however, where the stigma comes in is that if the perception is that, as an entrepreneur, all you do is come up with ideas and try things, but you don't necessarily learn from them. You don't necessarily execute at a high level. You don't necessarily see your ideas come to fruition, right? Then that's where it can get that stigma. So I think the SWOT analysis is actually a really, really powerful tool from that perspective in terms of making sure that you're learning from your experimentation, right? I remember, guys, was it a cartoon or? I think it was a cartoon, maybe it was a TV show, but as I was a kid, like one of the things that resonated with me is these kids, they were outside and they were like messing around like outside, like just being up to no good, right? You know what I mean? I'm talking about like picking up frogs and mixing bathroom products to see if they can create a potion and just all this weird stuff, right? Like just kids being kids, rambunctious, right? And I remember actually in the show, one of the kids was like, well, and he's like, after, they did some type of experiment, I think they were messing with a frog or something like that. They're like, well, make sure you write down the results, because if you write it down, then it's science, right? If you write it down, then it's science, because that's the difference between just fumbling around and messing with stuff and it being considered okay. Is if you write it down, now it's science, right? So we can say it was an experiment, right? Because we can learn from it. And I think that applies with being an entrepreneur, right? Really, that difference is, if you're writing down and you're learning from these things that you experiment with, right? Well, then you're not just an idea machine, right? You actually start to refine your process and start to really understand what went well with that idea, with that initiative, and then how can I improve and carry those learnings into the next initiative. So the whole concept of doing a SWOT analysis, I think is powerful, because you can take maybe that new initiative or that new product idea, that new product launch that you were experimenting with, right? Maybe you did a short run on a new product. Maybe you did you made a recent change to your business model to see if that was going to allow you to get better market penetration, a different type of customer base, maybe your average ticket, right? Maybe you wanted to try a new marketing idea or approach. Maybe you're partnering with a new vendor. Maybe you're playing around with the idea: should I purchase leads versus try to do organic lead generation, right? Well, after you've been able to test it, you have to learn from it, and that SWOT analysis is going to be an awesome guidepost to be able to make sure that you get the most learning out of those experiences, right? So being able to take that central idea of what you were trying to execute on, right, and saying, okay, what were the strengths, what went well, right? What are the weaknesses, right? Why wasn't this as successful as it could have been, right? What are the opportunities? And the opportunities, there is a difference between the weaknesses and the opportunities. Weaknesses are, true deficiencies that may exist in your business, right? Maybe you find out that, hey, I really need somebody from a marketing perspective that truly understands SEO, that truly understands marketing in the digital marketing space, the digital print space, social media space, versus me. I come from more of a traditional marketing perspective, or word of mouth, where I'm really powerful in terms of like face-to-face marketing, right? So that's a weakness for me. That's a weakness for me, right? Where opportunity can be not just a negative, but also a positive. Maybe you realize that through that process, there's an opportunity for me to expand my business in a way that I didn't think about before, right? And then obviously threats, identifying your threats are, roadblocks that could potentially exist out there, external as well as internal, but primarily external, right, that could prevent me from being able to grow to the next level or make this thing truly successful, right? Things that I can't account for, changes in tax code, changes in legislation or legislators, right, from a government perspective. If you're dependent on a fertile government, like regulatory environment in order to be successful, right? A threat, right? Another good threat. Let's say I'm getting ready to start my own food business or something like that. Right now, in in our current climate, if the state that you're in may have different mask regulations or COVID regulations in comparisons to other areas, like those are threats. I have no influence over them, but they can stifle or stymie my business. So really using a mind map to organize those thoughts, to get them all out there, and to truly learn from the experimentation that you're doing can be an exceptionally powerful tool as an entrepreneur if leveraged appropriately. So I love the fact that we're starting here because I really think that that's the key to being a successful entrepreneur. Successful entrepreneurs are ones that not only can experiment, but execute and then also learn, right? It's the experimentation, it's the execution, and it's also the learning, like that learning component. It's just so critically important.
So to all of our entrepreneurs out there, experiment, write it down. Now it's science.
Now it's science.
Now it's science.
If you write it down, it's science. I promise you, I remember hearing that. And then actually I ended up hearing it again too, because I was a big fan of Mythbusters. When that was going on, and I remember Jamie, one of the Mythbusters, he actually said that too. He's like, if you write it down, it's science. So yeah, okay.
So you can add that to your list of titles as well. Entrepreneur or business scientist.
Yes.
Boom.
Boom. Done.
There it is.
There it is.
So there you have it, folks. That was the first one that we really wanted to break down for you, was SWOT analysis. The second one that we're going to dive into is business planning. And a business plan could be and really should be an essential part, especially if you're a startup business, right? And you know that you're looking to borrow money, you need capital and investment in order to start this business up. People want to see the plan. They want to be able to see the details. They want to be able to see, current state, what's the future outlook, what are the services. So again, especially if you're trying to get financing, right? The lender's going to need to see all of these different aspects. Now, what I will say maybe that's not your goal, right? Because we challenged ourselves to put a business plan together, and we're not in the position right now. Like, we're not looking for capital, but for us, it was really making sure that, especially as a partnership, that we have a clear direction of where we're trying to go, the customer that we're looking to serve and to speak to, what specific services we're looking to offer, how are we going to deliver those services, how are we going to consult and to sell those services, all things that we felt it was important for us to get down on paper, to think about and talk about and document as we go through that process. So again, doing a business plan more than once is a great way to help you be successful. And we know, again, specifically for our situation, it's a living document. We started it, but it's something that we continue to go back and critique. And as we share it with other members of the team and other wise counsel that we go to, and we continue to get feedback, we continue to go back and update and change.
Yeah, man. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, man, I love the fact that we're getting into this topic specifically and you're talking about our own experiences because I think it's a powerful tool for our listeners to be able to learn from, right? Like, you're absolutely right. Like, from a business plan perspective, if you are in pursuit of capital, like, that has to be buttoned up, bar none. Like, there's not going to be any financial institution, any angel investor. Hell, if you luck up and you are able to get on Shark Tank, you get in front of Mr. Wonderful and Rob and Mark Cuban and Lori and all them. They gonna want to know, what is your plan, right? Like, what is your plan? But even if you're not in pursuit of that, going through the process of developing a business plan is important for, like you touched on, driving the focus of your business. Like, and I should, we framed it up for you guys. Like, we told you we're going to get into the technical component of how mind mapping can help you be more effective as an entrepreneur. So we're like really starting to get into the nerdy aspect of it. I hope that you guys are finding value in this, or you're excited about it, as we start dropping these nuggets, because it's about application, right? But
yes.
If you're really
sorry if we geek out a little bit, because it's science, y'all.
It's science, exactly. it's science. It's science, right? But you're absolutely right in the sense that, as you're refining your marketing strategy, or as you're trying to go to market, as you're trying to talk about your value in the space, you have to have clarity on who you're targeting, and that clarity has to be consistent in every piece of material that you have out there that represents your business, whether it is a landing page, whether it's your social media platform, whether it is maybe a promo card or something like that. Like, you have to be able to speak to your target market in the language that clearly identifies that it's them that you're trying to connect with, right? And by going through that process, not only does it help you refine your language so that you're speaking to your right audience, but it also helps you to funnel your thoughts around what spaces should you be occupying that are going to give you the 80% return for your 20% investment, right? I know that you and I, when we were going through the process, and we sat down at the beginning of this year and we said, hey, starting this pod thing, has been pretty successful. It's starting to take off. We're getting a lot of listens. We're starting to build a platform. Like, what do we want to do with this? Is it just going to be a podcast, or is it going to be more than a podcast? And when we made the commitment that it's going to be more than a pod, we had to go through the process of sitting up in your room in front of a whiteboard, right? And let's mind map this thing out on how do we become more than a pod? What is our business offering? Who are we targeting? Who are we speaking to? What are our products? What are our services? What is our marketing strategy? What spaces should we be occupying? Do we need to be on Facebook? Do we need to be on LinkedIn? Do we need to be on Instagram? Do we need to be on Twitter? Where are people at? Where's our community at, right? All of these all of these questions are critical to refining your business view, your business vision, so that you can really understand where you represent value and what activities do not represent value for you, right? So I love that, like, we're starting to touch on this specifically, man, because I mean, we went through it. We went through it ourselves of, all right, well, who are we trying to target? You can't target everybody, no matter how much you feel like you have an offering for everybody, right? You have to make sure you're honing your message to speak to a specific person. Now, if other individuals come along, then that's just the upside, right? But in terms of consistency in the marketing, and driving activity and meeting people where they're at, like, you have to make sure that you're clear about your value prop and your offering. And so, yeah, man, I just think that's critically important. I don't know, like, from your view, as we were going through the exercise of, business planning, are there some things that we can think back to, or you can think back to, that we leveraged this process for, that has just, been really helpful in, kind of ordering our actions and our steps as a business now that we've, gone from the Legacy and Leadership podcast to the Legacy Leadership Learning Group and really becoming more than a pod.
Yeah, I mean, I think it started, so I was actually going back because I do want to mention, some good mind mapping software is definitely available, and free software that will help you in building your entrepreneurship, your business plan. So one that we used early on and still use as a free account is Miro, Miro.com. But again, there's a number of mind mapping tools that are out there, but it allows you to digitally do it. Love writing down on a whiteboard or even on a piece of paper, but of course it is easier to be able to save it there and to continue to go back and kind of grow off of that. So kind of using that process from even just the podcast episodes, and as we were learning the process of how to craft a show and what goes into that, using it for that. And it was definitely a creative session, but taking, what kind of our strategy session that we had a couple of months ago for 2000 and not just 2021, but really we took a look at the next 12 months and even, up to the next, the 3 years and where we want it to be in 2023, 2024, and really going through that process and being able to creatively, again, map all of those things out, I think are huge for us. And what I also appreciate about that, because this has actually literally been on my mind over the last couple of days, because I haven't gone back and looked at that in a minute. I was like, I need to go back and take a look at what we came up with. I mean, we're actioning it out, like those things are happening, but again, sometimes you're in it and you're moving and you're working, you're getting things done, but it is easy to start to drift away from the things that you really should be focusing on. And again, the things that are the 20% that are really going to get you 80% of your results. So it's always good to be able to go back and remind yourselves, like you said before, like you don't stray, you stay on the right path and you stay laser focused on the things that you've committed to, the goals that you've set, the people that you're trying to serve, how you're trying to serve them. It's super important in that particular sense. So we talked about the SWOT analysis and having 4 branches. I want to kind of give some examples to our legacy leaders out there. You may have, almost 10 different branches if you're talking about business planning. And you've already mentioned some of these, right? So one of the branches could actually be the SWOT analysis itself. Your company profile, it's maybe your social media perspective, your marketing, the business model, again, the products, all of those different things, finances, depending on what kind of business your management or your team, the structure of the team and what that's going to look like. So there could be anywhere from 7, 8 to 10, again, different branches that you're going to be using for to really develop your business plan to help you truly just get down to the nitty gritty, right? And to very granular in your process and really determining everything that should be involved in your business plan. And especially if you're looking to get financing and to get help, the more detailed you are, the more effective you're going to be at being able to answer questions, to talk to your business and do it in a way that People don't just hear your passion and see your vision, but they know that you've put in the work to detail that out so that you're giving yourself every chance to be successful, and give this person who is investing in you every chance for them to be successful, to get a return on that investment.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of going back to what we shared, right? It's not science, right, until you write it down. I think that was one of the biggest learnings that we kind of both carried with ourselves based off of our prior entrepreneurial endeavors, is that we never really put as much effort or energy or stock into truly crafting a sound business plan from top to bottom in some of those past opportunities. And what we found is that as we went off and we built things out, we were making decisions. We were making decisions in real time that we felt like were appropriate for the business, but we didn't have that guidepost of clarity in terms of, well, what are we really setting out to build? What is our products? What is our services? What is our operating model? How are we talking about monetizing? How are we creating value for folks? How do we create value in multiple spaces where you have providing things of value that you can monetize, and then also still creating value without monetization, because that's a critical component as well. I read something, I just thought it was a hell of a bar, but I follow VC startups in my timeline for Twitter and stuff like that, just people who are talking about their experiences from a VC perspective, and this guy was sharing, he's like, hey, for an entrepreneur, the best way to sell and connect with clients is to meet them where they're at, and then two, give them answers, right? Give them answers on how to solve their problem that they're looking for without needing to buy your product. And I thought that was powerful, because essentially what he's saying, right, is if you can meet your client where they're at and then speak to them about how to fix the problem that your services provides a solution for without needing to buy your service, what you're doing is you're informing them on everything that it takes in order to overcome this obstacle, right? You're fully informing them, and you're inadvertently creating more value in your product, because what you're saying is, my product is a ready-made solution, an out-of-box solution to do that. So you can go this way, right? You can make this left and make this right and go up the mountain and come back down and sleep for a couple of days, and you gotta eat, and then you gotta go, then you gotta, and when you see the yellow yellow mailbox, and you're gonna have to make a left, you're gonna keep going down until you see a guy, right? And it just becomes this daunting, like, oh, okay, one, not only is this person a subject matter expert in this space, but there's a lot involved in being able to solve this problem absent of support. So after they have that full picture, or you can just let me do it for you, right? And that's where the value is created in your services. But you can't confidently have that conversation or feel confident about, are you meeting people in the right spaces, and are you do you have a sound operating model if you don't build the business plan, right?
Yeah.
And like literally writing it down, committing it to paper, like saying like, oh yeah, we have a general idea of what we're gonna do, right? Don't find yourself being like the underpants gnomes in South Park. For those who may have remembered that episode, where they had these gnomes that, like,
classic.
Yeah, right. They're like, all right, so how are we gonna make money? All right, still underwear. Question mark in the middle. Last step is profit.
Yeah, yes, profits.
Like profit. Like, but what's the middle part? Like, yeah, no, we don't know that, but we just know if we still the underwear, something profit, right? Well, don't have a business plan that is that. It's start a business, question mark, profit, right? You really need to have that business plan outlined and understand what your operating models are. And the thing is, just engaging in these discussions is so enlightening, because one, especially if you're entering a space where you have a partner, right? You guys may have a divergence of perspective on how to monetize your business, right? Of where the value really lies in your business, right? Or there may be operating models that you haven't even considered, right? Like, I think for us, transparently going into this space, right? You think about podcasts and you think about any type of audio recording and being out on all these DSPs. You think, okay, well, our monetization model may be, ad revenue, right? That people think that immediately, but as we started building our business plan and really thinking about what we want, to what type of community we want to build, we knew one of the things that was a value for us is we're not trying to just have a platform where you hear us talk for 5 minutes and then a Downy soap commercial comes on, then we talk for another 15, and then there's a commercial for ABC Mouse, right? Like, we know that our value is being able to speak to these leaders and speaking to our community. I mean, really breaking down these concepts, right? And so there's other paths that we can pursue that will allow us to continue to grow our business, continue to grow our value, to be able to monetize, so that we can commit fully to this endeavor, right? That doesn't involve ad revenue at all, right? Mm-hmm. And so again, you can't get to these type of thought process or these type of solutions without actually doing the business plan and writing it down. Because if you do not write it down, right, it is just experimentation. It is not science. You gotta make it science. Commit it to paper. Write it down.
Yeah, low key. I mean, man, from the very beginning when South Park came out is when I started watching it, and that has always been a classic episode. And my wife would use it against me because, again, earlier on as an entrepreneur, she's like, number 2, where's the number 2 at? You got all these ideas, you trying to get it, but where's the business plan? And I've been very, you have to, know your strengths and know your areas of opportunity. And we had that conversation. And I said, man, like it was a struggle for me in the past to put a business plan together. So I'm like, Devon, like I'm really going to lean on you to handle that piece. And obviously we'll continue to work on it together. But that is one of the blessings of being able to have a partner and bounce and work off of each other, bounce ideas, but work off of each other's strengths and opportunities and how that is combined. But I love what you said again about being able to provide solutions, which is what we're trying to do for you. So our entrepreneurs out there, you have a business, you're trying to elevate it, you're trying to take it to the next level, and maybe you're struggling right now. You don't know how to do that. Maybe you don't have a business plan currently written out yet, an outline for yourself. Well, we're breaking down to you the science of using mind mapping to help you to be able to do that. Maybe you don't know. Maybe SWOT analysis is something you've just heard, and you don't really know what the true strengths are, what the weaknesses are, what the opportunities and what threats there really are internally and externally for your business. Again, we've just given you some examples of how to use mind mapping to help you solve that problem and to be able to improve in that area of your business and take it to the next level. So if you need assistance, we just, one of the things that we were working on as well as we look at our mind map for our business and our social platform and our footprint out on the internet is our website. So you can always go to L3Gconsulting.com and be able to take a look at the different services that we offer. If you need consultation, you can sign up on our website as well and get consultation where we can help you to craft out that mind map and again, help you to elevate and to take your business to the next level. So the last one that we're going to jump into is project management. Again, mention this. As an entrepreneur, you are in charge of everything. So that means that most likely it's going to include project management, which again, we do that as well. Whether we're using software to do that, definitely starts, kind of by writing some things down or putting in a spreadsheet. But we know, okay, we have the podcast, number one. We have the YouTube channel as well. We have the business that we've started in services. We have the Facebook community. We have challenges. We have e-learning courses that we're putting together and additional content. Believe me, in order to try, and we can be very ambitious at times, as most entrepreneurs are, right? But in order to get those things done, if we're not using sound project management techniques, it would be virtually impossible for us to be successful at getting any of those done individually, let alone trying to do, multiple things at one time. So again, if your team is not large enough, most of the time you're probably going to be having to handle this piece of it yourself, because we're not necessarily blessed to have like a dedicated project manager unless you're a huge company. Even some companies don't have project managers like that. So the last thing, again, project management. We're just going to give you a few steps to use while putting your project mind map actually and putting that together. So you want to think about what is the project scope, right? So what team members you need to involve, who are those individuals that you're going to need, what are the requirements of the project itself, the requirements of these individuals and the team members that you have, and then breakdown of time of each individual's requirements, right? So again, we talked about this at the beginning of the year. As we brought on Ricardo, we brought on Mary, Stacy. Also, my wife was helping us out with some things. It's okay. What amount of time are we going to really be able to ask of them, and what can they dedicate to us, and what specific opportunities, what specific tactics and tasks are we going to have them working on, and then obviously what Devon and myself are going to be working on, so that we're able to continue to move these things forward. So it's very much, again, using these project management modalities to be able to get that done. And then what are the steps, right? So we talked about these are the things that we're trying to accomplish in January, February, and March. These are the kind of the launch dates, for some of these e-learning courses, for some of the episodes that we're going to be doing, for the challenge that we're going to be doing, and everything that was leading us up to, through and to the end of this first quarter. So having the deadlines, having the players involved, knowing what the requirements are, knowing who is going to be assigned to what, again, all of that is really project management.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I'll just share with our listeners here, like, no matter what project management methodology anybody leverages, I've been fortunate enough to get a lot of hands-on experience from a project management perspective, be around some folks that are very well versed. Myself personally, I'm certified green belt in Lean Six Sigma. And so it doesn't matter if you're using Six Sigma, if you're using Kaizen, if you're using Gantt charts, whatever you want to use in order to manage projects. The secret is every single one of those things starts off with a mind map. In the Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 500, it all starts with some type of mind map. People getting together, throwing ideas up at the board, figuring out what we're trying to do, and then you put them into these tools in order to manage effectively, right? And I think it's definitely fair to call out for our listeners, for our entrepreneurs. We understand what it's like to have to wear, a multitude of these hats because we do it today. We've been doing it, right? So that's why we can speak to you from that perspective. Like, we know what it's like to be the CEO, the COO, the CFO, the CMO, the project manager, like, right? You have to, build the business, operate the business, market the business, sell the business, manage the finances, and then manage the project. Like, we get it. You're wearing a multitude of these hats. And so that's why we keep imploring and stressing the importance, the value of leveraging a tool such as mind mapping, because you have all of these hats on simultaneously and all of these disparate thoughts. And if you're not committing it to paper, if you're not writing it down, if you're not going through the process of mind mapping it out, it can be very hard to have clarity on what you're working towards, right? And then being able to take those thoughts and translate them into some of these more traditional tools that exist out there, again, a Gantt chart or something like that, in order to manage the process from end to end, right? But again, mind mapping is a critical place to start when you're talking about from a project management perspective, because essentially you're building your business is nothing but a large project. That's what it is. It's just a large project, right? And there are multiple phases along the way. There's projects within projects, right? And so it's hard to remain organized absent of you leveraging a tool like mind mapping. Like, it goes back to you may have heard us talk about goals and goal chunking. Like that's the mindset that you should have as you're approaching project management for your business, right? Is, well, I'm breaking them up into these smaller projects, micro projects, these sprints, and using mind mapping to identify all of the touch points along the sprint that need to be accomplished, and then I can put them in a traditional tool, measure my performance up against that. Am I hitting these deadlines? Am I hitting these goals? How does this pushing back deadlines if I'm missing the mark on some of these deadlines, right? And then after completing the project, since you've had everything documented from the mind map to the traditional, again, Gantt chart or something else like that, you can always go back and conduct a SWOT analysis on that project so that you can refine your project management approach so that the next project that you take on as a part of your building your business is much more streamlined, much more seamless, and you've learned from your experimentation.
Yeah, and obviously when we're speaking to entrepreneurs and how to use mind mapping in these 3 different sections to help elevate your business and really take it to the next level. But we do have, a lot of corporate folks out there as well. And this is something that, again, that we've used as entrepreneurs and definitely within corporate America as well. I think about just a little over a year ago, sitting down in one of our national meetings with the 4 area sales managers, with the director of the sales team, and specifically focusing on that whole follow through process and what that needs to look like, and trying to take all of these ideas and opinions that people had and say, all right, we're going to go through a mind mapping exercise, got on the whiteboard and started just really working all of those things out. But really what I was doing in that mind map was helping to build what this project was going to be over the next month or so that we can get the training together. We can make sure that the correct players were in place to provide feedback on what was being put together, to make sure that we had dates on, when we're going to send communications, to make sure that everybody knew when training was going to be taking place, all of the documents and everything that needed to be system-wise. What changes did we have to make in systems within reporting? So many different things and different aspects that went into that. Again, it really is just a valuable tool in so many different ways. So we talked about, deciding on the project scope. Then you can start by adding in the structure of the projects and the notes for each step. Again, we're talking about mind mapping. So using color, using text, using images to really allow that creativity to come through, and to really build out this mind map that you're then going to, again, like Devon mentioned, put into specific tools to really start to implement and start the project itself. So many different benefits for using mind mapping in these 3 different areas. Mind maps can be so underused really at this point in time. So we really encourage you to consider, that you're able to create and view on multiple devices, right? When you start using, again, electronically, these mind maps, you can pull it on apps on your phone, so that you could always remind yourself of, these different areas that you're trying to focus on. It's very easy, again, especially in this day and age where you're virtually working with somebody else. So the mind map that we have in Miro, we both have access to that website. I just earlier at the beginning of this week, I did another mind mapping exercise with my boss using Miro again and talking about our whole learning and development organization. So I have access, he has access. So we can both continue to go and make changes and update that as time progresses. Again, so many use cases, that are valuable to you in your workplace, and definitely as an entrepreneur when you have so many hats, so many responsibilities, and you're really trying to narrow things down, focus, and help take and elevate your business to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you mentioned Miro, and Miro's definitely was, has been a valuable tool for us as we started on this process. But another one that we can actually share with our community, our legacy leader community, is Canva. Like, believe it or not, Canva actually supports mind mapping services too. And,
it does, yeah.
And for our legacy leaders, our entrepreneurs are sticking with us and listening, if you want to talk about a potential all-in-one solution as far as creating marketing material, right, as being able to mind map social media posts, creating brand kits, like all of that can be done, like posters, flyers, promos, graphic design for your websites. All of that can be done very easily through a tool like Canva. So if you haven't checked that out or added it to your wheelhouse, I strongly encourage you to do so. We strongly encourage you to do so. If you've already dabbled in Canva, but you've only used it for maybe social media marketing or promo material or something like that, like really explore that application. It's mobile compatible, so you can do it from your phone too, but really explore that application and see what else is out there, what other benefits it has to offer, because again, you can really unlock the power of all of these things that we're talking about, especially mind mapping. They have several different templates with different colors. There's image integration, element integration, so you can pull those type of things into your mind map, and it's a really good easy entry level way to enter the world of mind mapping and mind mapping effectively.
Yeah, and we are not affiliated with Canva, but it is just, especially for the investment, the small investment that we make on a monthly basis, like it is hands down one of the best, most effective tools that we have in our business for all the reasons that Devon just mentioned. So especially again, if you're wearing a lot of different hats, it helps you to take care of a lot of those different responsibilities that you have just within that platform itself.
Right. You ain't lying. You're not lying. So, like you said, between the two of us, and that's, again, for our entrepreneurs that are listening, trust me, we know. Like, we know what we're talking about, what you're going through, wearing the multiple hats. We don't just create the content. We don't just create the e-learnings. We're doing the video editing. We're doing the social media marketing. We're doing the website design. We're doing the audio editing. We're doing the promos. We're doing the QR codes. We're doing, all of those things, filing the business, getting the business legal. Like, we're doing all of that, managing the finances, making the bank, like, all of those things. And so we can definitely understand where you're coming from and be able to speak specifically to you, because these are things that we've learned and we've refined through our own journey, through trial and error and learning along the way.
Yeah, so if we leave you with anything, it's science, y'all. It's science. Experiment, write it down, mind map it out. But any business that wants to succeed, especially, man, in these trying times, and we're hopeful, right, that things continue to open up in our country, but it's still tough right now. But you should immediately, I encourage you to get on board using mind maps. Again, you will not be disappointed. Again, we covered 3 fantastic ways that you can improve your business with mind maps. We encourage you to incorporate them in your personal life as well. So, because we're encouraging you to do so, pay attention for the next episode that we're going to be dropping, because that's exactly what we're going to be getting into, is really mind mapping your life and helping you to make improvements in different areas of your life using mind mapping. So if you want to know how to mind map your life, again, be on board with us for the next episode, because we're going to be discussing just that, and you're not going to want to miss it. The happier, more successful you are in your personal life is going to transform and really transfer everything that you're doing into extraordinary dividends in your business world. And all of us, right? Like that's why we go into business. And I've said this, I think maybe in our last episode or so, because we've talked about our trial and error and the things that we've done in the past and where we're at now. It is very easy to start a business. One huge lesson that I've learned in the past, it's not just about getting it, it's about keeping it. How do you not just start the business, but keep it long term and truly be able to build a business that sustains, and hopefully that is even part of your legacy in the community with the people that you serve, and hopefully building something with systems in place to where it's not solely dependent on you, and it's even something that you can even leave for generations to come. That's what we're talking about, entrepreneurs out there, legacy leaders, when we're talking about leaving a legacy. And that's what we would love to help you to do. That is definitely one of our biggest passions. Because it just hurts, when you see somebody who has passion, they have ideas, they have skill sets, and they're starting something, because of those tactics, those strategies of, how do I really build a business plan? How do I figure out, what this SWOT analysis thing is all about? How do I even just run projects and using mind maps to help you at least start that process with those things? Again, I know that you're going to find much value in that. And if you know anybody that would find value in everything that we just broke down, we ask that you share. Go ahead and share this episode, share the link. And while you're doing so, go ahead and give us a like, leave a comment. We definitely would like to hear from you on your thoughts on what we've just discussed and using mind mapping to help elevate your business, and specifically the 3 areas that we just broke down for you. And we definitely would love for you to continue to really engage in these conversations and just contact us. The easiest and the best way to do that is to join us in the Legacy Leader community within Facebook. Again, we have hundreds or a little over 100. We have hundreds of folks in all of our different communities, but in that one specifically, we have over 100 people that are engaging on a daily basis. Sometimes it's funny things that we talk about in there. Sometimes it's even, filling out personality surveys and figuring out a little bit more kind of what animal represents you, but it has to do with who you are as a leader, as an individual. And then, of course, our cold brew and convos that we do every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. More opportunities for us to teach, for you to ask questions. We're doing that live. We're fielding questions. So again, we'd love for you to join us, Legacy Leader Community on Facebook. And then also follow us on Instagram at Legacy Leadership. You can follow Devon at Leadership Docent, and you can also follow myself at Coach_Jimmy G Jr. Again, we'd love for you to connect with us there. And then, as always, Legacy in Leadership Podcast. You can find us on the YouTube channel. Please subscribe, like the video, and hit that alert bell as well. You can also find us on LinkedIn. And of course on Facebook. Yeah, link done. You can also find us on Facebook as well. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We just broke down 3 different areas: project management, making sure that you're using mind mapping for your business planning, and then also SWOT analysis. Be on the lookout for the next episode where we teach you really how to mind map your life. How to mind map your life and improve things for yourself using these methods. It is, what are we calling March? It's March Mind Mapping Madness, y'all. Yes. So continue to stay with us. I hope that you're enjoying the content. We're having fun breaking these things down to you. More to come. All this is going to be leading up to our 14-day mind mapping challenge. You're going to want to make sure that you're a part of that. Again, more details on how you can invest in yourself and invest some time in being a part of that specific special face group just for that challenge, where you'll get time from Devon and myself. We're going to have daily exercises and activities that are going to go into more detail about this whole mind mapping process and using it in different aspects of your life. And again, you're going to get some time from us as well as we go live in there and be able to field more questions about these topics specifically. So I hope you're excited, because we're excited about that. So make sure that you join us. Hey, this has been fantastic. Again, we definitely appreciate all of the new listeners and viewers that we have. Hope that you're enjoying it. Make sure you share this content with other people that you know would enjoy as well. Until next time, again, Coach Jimmy G Jr., Devon Watts Jr., God bless and stay encouraged, y'all. Take care.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.
You have just listened to the Legacy and Leadership Podcast, hosted by Jimmy Gonzalez and Devon Watts. Thank you, and we hope that you live, lead, and leave a legacy worth remembering. Until next time.